working in the technology division of a large company has always been a dream for me, but the reality turned out to be very different from what I expected. I'm Jackson, a dedicated employee who is passionate about what I do, but due to my hearing impairment, I've always been underestimated. My boss, Mr. Thompson, is a demanding and insensitive man who apparently doesn't believe in my potential. He keeps me stuck on smaller tasks, ignoring my ideas and my desire to lead an innovative project. One day, after yet another meeting in which my suggestions were left aside, I went to my desk, feeling a growing frustration. Emily, my coworker, noticed my downcast expression and came over. "Jackson, is everything okay?" she asked, with a worried look. "Not exactly, Emily. I'm tired of being underestimated. I know I can contribute much more to the company, but Mr. Thompson just won't give me a chance," I said. Emily nodded, understanding my situation. She was always one of the few people at the company who truly supported me and believed in me. I decided that I needed to do something to change that situation. That night, while reviewing some reports at home, I had an idea. The company was going through difficult times, and a financial crisis seemed imminent. I knew that a sustainable technology project could not only help the company recover, but also prove my worth. The next day I went straight to Mr. Thompson's office, determined to present my proposal. "Mr. Thompson, I need to talk to you about an idea that could save our company," I began, trying to remain calm. He looked at me disdainfully, clearly suspicious. "And what do you have in mind, Jackson?" he asked, with a tone of voice that made his skepticism clear. I explained in detail the sustainable technology project I had in mind, showing how it could reduce costs and generate new resources for the company. I waited anxiously for his response. "Jackson, your idea is interesting, but I don't believe you have the necessary experience to lead a project of this magnitude," he said, bluntly. I left his office feeling a mix of anger and disappointment. However, instead of giving up, it only increased my determination. I reached out to Emily again, knowing she would understand my frustration. "Mr. Thompson won't give me a chance, Emily. But I will not give up. I'm going to prove him wrong," I declared firmly. "I'm with you, Jackson. Let's make this happen, together," she replied, with an encouraging smile. With Emily's support, I began working on the project on my own, dedicating nights and weekends to developing a detailed plan. During this process, I discovered that Emily also faced her own challenges at work, including harassment from a colleague. We decided that, in addition to developing the project, we would need to deal with this situation in a strategic way. As we worked tirelessly, I began to form a team with other underappreciated colleagues, each with unique skills. Together, we began to turn the idea into reality. Even facing barriers and prejudices, our personal motivation kept us together. The difficulties were many, but each small advance gave us more hope. The pressure was mounting, and Mr. Thompson, under increasing pressure from the board of directors, began to realize that perhaps he was underestimating the team I had put together. The journey was just beginning, but I knew that with determination and mutual support, we could not only complete the project, but also transform the company culture. It was time to prove that, despite the adversities, I had a lot to offer and that, together, we could achieve success. Upon discovering that the company is facing a hidden financial crisis, I felt a mixture of anxiety and determination. Here I was, Jackson, an employee often underestimated due to my hearing impairment, with a chance to make a difference. The sustainable technology project that I dreamed of leading could be the solution to save the organization. The crisis could be the opportunity one needed to show my true potential. I decided it was time to act. During a meeting with Mr. Thompson, I waited patiently as he discussed the details of the latest financial metrics, which were far from encouraging. When he finished, I raised my hand to signal that I had something to say. He looked at me skeptically. "Mr. Thompson, I believe that the sustainable technology project could be the key to reversing the company's financial situation," I began, carefully choosing my words so that he could understand the seriousness of my proposal. He raised an eyebrow, clearly doubtful. "Jackson, you know this is a huge initiative. Do you think you're ready to lead something like this? The question, although expected, still hurt me due to the lack of faith in my abilities. I took a deep breath and remained calm. Yes, I believe I'm ready. I have innovative ideas and I know that I can form a team capable of transforming our technology into something revolutionary. We need bold solutions now more than ever. Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. I will consider your proposal, Jackson. But do you understand that the responsibility is enormous and that any mistake can be costly? I nodded, determined. Leaving the room, I knew I would need support, and the first person that came to mind was Emily. She was an exceptional colleague, always willing to help, and unfortunately, she also faced her own challenges in the workplace. I went to her table and invited her for coffee. Emily, I need to talk to you about something important, I said, trying to hide my anxiety. She looked at me curiously, but also with a hint of concern. Of course, Jackson. What is happening? I explained the company's hidden financial situation and my plan to lead the sustainable technology project. She listened intently, and when I finished, I could see she was just as excited as I was. That's incredible, Jackson. But do you think Mr. Thompson will let you lead the project? He asked, his voice full of concern. He's considering it. But I know I can't do this alone. I need someone I trust, someone with your skills. She smiled, but her smile faded quickly. Jackson, there's something I need to tell you. I'm being harassed by a coworker and I don't know what else to do. My expression must have reflected my surprise and indignation. Emily, this is terrible. Have you spoken to HR yet? She shook her head no. I'm afraid of the repercussions. But if we're going to work together on this project, I need you to know this. I thought for a moment before responding. Emily, let's face this together. Just as we will face this financial crisis. If we're going to save the company, let's also make sure it's a safe place for everyone. Do you agree? She nodded, and in that moment I felt that our alliance was stronger than any obstacle we could face. We were determined to prove our worth, not just as professionals, but as human beings who deserve respect and recognition. With Emily by my side, I began planning the team formation and strategy for presenting the final proposal to Mr. Thompson. We knew the path would be difficult, but we were ready to face each challenge, determined to transform corporate culture and show that everyone, regardless of their difficulties, has something valuable to contribute. When Emily opened up to me about the harassment she was experiencing at work, I was shocked and deeply saddened. It was hard to believe that on top of all her professional challenges, she also had to deal with something so disrespectful and upsetting. We were in the cafeteria, having a quick coffee before heading back to our stations, when she finally decided to spill the beans. Jackson, I need to tell you something, Emily began, visibly nervous. I'm being harassed by a coworker. He won't leave me alone, makes inappropriate comments, and tries to intimidate me whenever he gets the chance. My initial reaction was disbelief and anger. Emily, this is unacceptable. Who is doing this to you? We need to take action immediately. She took a deep breath, looking relieved to finally share the burden. It's Mark for marketing. I've tried to ignore it and deal with it on my own, but it's becoming unsustainable. I need help, Jackson. It was at that moment that I realized that our fight was not just to save the company with the sustainable technology project, but also to create a safe and respectful work environment. We needed to support each other to face these challenges. Emily and I started talking about strategies for dealing with harassment effectively. Emily, I'm with you on this one, I assured. We need to document everything he does and says. Every comment, every action. And then we're going to take this to human resources and demand an investigation. She nodded, visibly calmer. Yes, I'll start writing everything down. And thank you, Jackson. I don't know what I would do without you. Over the next few days, as we worked hard on developing the project, we also dedicated ourselves to collecting evidence against Mark. Emily wrote down each incident, and I supported her emotionally, making sure she didn't feel alone in this battle. Our partnership strengthened even further, and the mutual trust we developed was crucial in facing the challenges ahead. One afternoon, during a project planning meeting, Emily received a text from Mark. She showed me his cell phone screen, where he had sent yet another disgusting comment. I couldn't contain my indignation. "This has to stop right now, Emily," I said firmly. "Let's go to HR now. They need to know what's going on." We went to the Human Resources Department together and presented all the evidence Emily had gathered. The person responsible for the sector listened to us carefully and assured that an investigation would be launched immediately. "Emily, Jackson, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention," the HR manager said. "We will treat this with the seriousness it deserves. No one should experience this type of situation in the workplace." Emily's action in reporting the harassment had a significant impact on the company. The internal investigation resulted in Mark's dismissal and the implementation of stricter anti-harassment policies. This personal victory for Emily not only brought justice to her, but also strengthened the entire team. We felt a renewed determination to complete our project successfully. "Emily, you were incredibly brave," I said, after we received the news of Mark's dismissal. "Your action not only protected you, but also helped create a better work environment for all of us." She smiled, visibly relieved. "Thank you, Jackson. I couldn't have done it without your support. Now, let's finish this project and show everyone what we're capable of." From that moment on, our team was more united than ever. Emily's courage inspired us all, and we were determined to overcome any obstacle that came our way. We knew we had a long way to go, but with resilience and solidarity, we were ready to face any challenge. Bringing together a diverse team of underappreciated and undervalued employees was a challenging but also incredibly rewarding task. I knew that for the Sustainable Technology Project to be successful, we needed a team that not only had unique skills, but also a personal drive to prove their value. The first person who came to mind was Carlos, a brilliant programmer who many ignored because of his shyness. As soon as I approached him, he hesitated. "Jackson, I don't know if I'm the right person for this. I always feel so invisible here," Carlos said, avoiding eye contact. I smiled, trying to convey confidence. "Carlos, your coding skills are incredible. We need someone with your talent. Plus, this project is our chance to show everyone what we can do." After a pause, Carlos nodded. "Okay, I'm cool. Let's do this." With Carlos on board, our next priority was finding a design expert. That's when I thought of Maria, a talented designer whose innovative ideas were often ignored. She was always quiet in meetings, but her design presentations were exceptional. "Maria, we need a designer for the Sustainable Technology Project. I know your ideas can make a big difference," I said, hoping she would accept the challenge. Maria looked at me, surprised. "Do you really think my ideas are good?" "I don't think so, I'm sure. You have a talent that few recognize, but I see your value," I replied with conviction. She smiled shyly. "Then I'm in." With each new member, our team began to take shape. We also recruited Ahmed, an electrical engineer who always had practical solutions to complex problems, but who was often ignored because of his foreign accent. And finally, we called Sophia, a young data analyst who, despite her competence, was seen as inexperienced. We gathered everyone in the conference room for our first official meeting. The enthusiasm was palpable, but there was also an underlying tension. I knew that many of us carried scars from being underestimated and devalued. "We're here because each of us has something unique to offer," I began, looking at each of them. "This project is not only a chance to save the company, but also to prove ourselves. Let's show them what we are capable of." Emily, ever the supportive voice, added, "And remember, we're in this together. If anyone faces a problem, we all do. We're a team." In the early days, we faced prejudices and internal barriers. Some coworkers doubted our abilities and made dismissive comments. "Do you really think this team is going to achieve anything?" I heard one of them whisper. But instead of getting us down, these comments motivated us even more. Carlos started working on an innovative algorithm that would improve the efficiency of our system. Maria designed an intuitive and visually appealing interface, while Ahmed developed a circuit that would significantly reduce power consumption. Sophia, in turn, analyzed data and identified patterns that helped us optimize the process. One night, while we were working late, Maria expressed a concern. What if, despite all our efforts, they still don't take us seriously? I took a deep breath before responding. Maria, we can't control what others think, but we can control our work and our dedication. And so far, we're doing an amazing job. Emily agreed. And remember, we are changing more than just a project. We are changing how we are seen and, more importantly, how we see ourselves. With these words of encouragement, we continue to work tirelessly. Each obstacle that arose, we faced together, strengthening our bond and determination. With each advancement, we felt like we were one step closer to proving our worth and transforming corporate culture. And so, with each challenge overcome and each small victory, our confidence grew. We were determined to not only complete the project, but also leave a legacy of inclusion, respect and recognition for all employees. As the project progressed, I began to notice a change in Mr. Thompson's behavior. He, who had always been ruthless and callous, now seemed to be under immense pressure. Their lost looks and heavy sighs didn't go unnoticed by me. Initially, I thought it was just another one of his tactics to discourage us, but I soon realized there was something deeper going on. One afternoon, during a project status meeting, Mr. Thompson was especially tense. He could barely concentrate and his voice shook slightly as he spoke. "We need to speed up the results, Jackson," he said, avoiding my gaze. "The board of directors is on top of me. If we don't deliver something tangible soon, we're all in trouble." After the meeting, Emily and I got together to discuss what we had observed. "Did you notice how he was today?" "Something's not right," I commented, worried. "Yes, I noticed," Emily replied. "He was nervous, like something serious was happening. Maybe we should investigate further." We then decided it was time to better understand Mr. Thompson's situation. We knew the company was facing a financial crisis, but there seemed to be more layers to this problem. I went to Mr. Thompson's office and knocked on the door, hesitantly. "Come in," he said, his voice tired. "Mr. Thompson, can I speak to you for a moment?" I asked, trying to sound as respectful as possible. "Of course, Jackson." "What do you need?" he replied, gesturing for me to sit down. "I know the company is going through financial difficulties, but it seems like there is something more going on. I wanted to understand better to see how I can help," he said, hoping he wasn't overstepping his bounds. He sighed deeply and looked at me, finally with an expression of vulnerability I had never seen before. "Jackson, the truth is that I'm under immense pressure from the board. They want quick results, but we don't have the necessary resources. Furthermore, I'm being held responsible for decisions that weren't entirely mine," he confessed, with a tone of desperation in his voice. This revelation made me see Mr. Thompson in a completely different light. He was also struggling to keep his job and his reputation. This put me in an ethical and professional dilemma. Should I continue to see Mr. Thompson as an antagonist or try to help him as much as possible? I talked to Emily about what I had discovered. "Emily, Mr. Thompson is really in trouble. He's being pressured from all sides and it looks like he might not be the villain we always thought he was," I explained. "That changes things, Jackson. Maybe we should reconsider our approach. If we can successfully deliver the project, not only would we save the company, but we could also help Mr. Thompson get out of this situation," Emily said, with a thoughtful look. We then decided that, in addition to focusing on the project, we would try to alleviate the pressure on Mr. Thompson as much as possible. We started working even harder, communicating progress more clearly and transparently to him. Little by little, I noticed a change in his attitude. He started to trust our team more and started giving us more autonomy. One of these meetings was particularly revealing. Mr. Thompson, visibly calmer, called us in for a chat. "Jackson, Emily, I want to thank you for the extra effort you're putting into the project. I know I haven't been the easiest boss, but I really appreciate what you're doing," he admitted, with a shy smile. "We appreciate your recognition, Mr. Thompson. We are all in the same boat and want the company to prosper as much as you do," I replied, feeling a weight lifted from my shoulders. This new perspective on Mr. Thompson not only motivated us even more, but also made us realize that sometimes our biggest adversaries also face their own battles. This understanding brought us even closer together as a team and gave us the determination necessary to overcome the challenges that were yet to come. The team I led began to make significant progress in developing sustainable technology. Each breakthrough was a small victory, and enthusiasm among the members grew every day. However, it didn't take long for unexpected obstacles to arise. We faced resistance and internal sabotage from colleagues who did not believe in the project's potential or who had their own interests. One morning, as we were reviewing the latest results in the lab, Emily approached me with a worried expression. "Jackson, we need to talk," she said, looking around to make sure no one else was listening. "Of course, Emily. What happened?" I asked, trying to hide my own anxiety. "I found some inconsistencies in the progress reports. It appears someone is manipulating the data," she explained, passing me a folder of evidence. I quickly reviewed the documents and realized she was right. Someone was sabotaging our work, and this could jeopardize the entire project. "This is serious. We need to find out who is behind this and why," I replied, feeling the pressure increase. "Let's get the team together and discuss a strategy." We gathered everyone in the conference room, and after explaining the situation, it was clear that everyone was equally concerned, but also determined to resolve the issue. "We have to be vigilant and work together to overcome this," said Paolo, one of the most experienced engineers on the team. "We will not let them destroy our work." "I agree," added Maria, the sustainability expert. "We will review every detail and make sure nothing goes unnoticed." With a plan in place, we began monitoring all aspects of the project more closely. But the resistance did not stop there. One afternoon, some critical equipment simply stopped working. It was clear that someone was directly sabotaging our resources. "This is getting out of hand," Emily said, frustrated. "We need a more drastic solution." "I agree," I replied. "We will divide the team into smaller groups to investigate different areas of the project. We need to identify the saboteur before it is too late." During the following weeks, our vigilance increased. We spent overtime in the laboratory, reviewing every detail and trying to identify who was behind the sabotage. Finally, during a particularly long night, Paolo discovered something suspicious in the laboratory access logs. "Jackson, I think I found something," he said, bringing out his laptop to show me. "It appears that someone is using one of the employees' access cards outside of working hours." "That's an important clue," I replied, feeling a glimmer of hope. "We need to check the security cameras." With the help of the security department, we reviewed the recordings and finally identified the culprit, Ricardo, an employee from the finance department who had an interest in seeing our project fail. "Ricardo? But why?" Maria asked in disbelief. "He always had trouble with the idea of sustainable innovation. He thought it was a waste of resources," I explained. "But that doesn't justify his actions." With the evidence in hand, we confronted Ricardo and brought him to the attention of the board of directors. His sabotage was quickly exposed, and he was fired immediately. "You did a great job, Jackson," said Mr. Thompson, although his voice carried a note of surprise. "I can't deny that you proved me wrong." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," I replied. "But this was a team-wide effort. Everyone here deserves credit for their hard work and dedication." With the saboteur neutralized, we were able to focus our efforts on completing the project. In a short time, we launched our sustainable technology to great acclaim, transforming the industry and ensuring the company's survival. It was a difficult journey, full of challenges and obstacles, but in the end, we proved our worth and showed that determination and unity can overcome any adversity. And, most importantly, we began to transform corporate culture for the better, promoting a more inclusive and respectful environment for everyone. The moment Emily decided to report the harassment she was suffering was a turning point for all of us. There was a mix of apprehension and determination in the air, a sense that we were about to face something far greater than any technical hurdles we had previously encountered in designing sustainable technology. I knew that supporting her was essential, not just for her, but for the entire team and the company culture. One afternoon, after another exhausting day of work, Emily called me for a private conversation in the meeting room. "Jackson, I've decided. I can't take this anymore. I'm going to report the harassment," she said, with a firmness I hadn't seen before. His eyes were determined, but there was also a shadow of fear. "Emily, you know we're all with you, right? Whatever the outcome, we're in this together," I replied, trying to convey as much reassurance as I could. The team had become like family to us, and we knew that supporting each other was crucial. That same night, we organized a meeting with the entire team. Emily stood up and shared her decision, receiving unconditional support from everyone. "We're here for you, Emily. We can't let this continue," said Carlos, one of the oldest members of the team, with a tone of voice that reflected the outrage in all of us. The next day, Emily formalized the complaint with the Human Resources Department. The reaction was immediate. An internal investigation was launched, and the buzz in the company was palpable. Many were surprised, others were relieved that someone had finally had the courage to speak out. "You did the right thing, Emily," I told her after the meeting with HR. "This will make a huge difference, not just for you, but for all of us." The investigation revealed a toxic work environment, where cases of harassment and discrimination were more common than we imagined. The company had no choice but to implement stricter policies against harassment, with mandatory training and an anonymous reporting channel. "We're starting to see changes, Jackson." "This is just the beginning," Emily said, visibly more relieved. This personal victory for Emily not only strengthened her confidence, but also brought our team even closer together. We felt like we were fighting not just for a sustainable technology project, but for a greater cause. "Let's show them what we're capable of," said Miguel, another team member, during one of our meetings. "If we can face this, we can face anything." Emily's determination inspired us all to work harder. Each obstacle that appeared on the project's path was faced with new energy. "We're doing this for ourselves, for Emily, and for everyone who's ever been underestimated," I said, trying to keep my spirits up. In the end, Emily's complaint not only brought her justice, but also transformed the company's culture. From that moment on, we knew we were building something much bigger than a technological project. We were helping to create a more fair and inclusive environment for everyone. "That's our legacy, Jackson," Emily said, with a smile. "It's not just about sustainable technology, it's about human sustainability." With Emily by our side, we faced each new challenge with the knowledge that, together, we could overcome anything. And so, with more determination than ever, we continued our fight to complete the project and transform the company for the better. With the project's completion deadline approaching, the tension in the team was palpable. I could feel the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. We had made incredible progress up to that point, but we knew that any mistake could jeopardize everything. It was then that tragedy struck our project: internal sabotage. I was in my office, reviewing the latest reports, when Emily walked in, visibly distraught. "Jackson, we have a serious problem. Part of our system's code has been corrupted. Someone tampered with the files overnight," she said, trying to remain calm. "How is that possible, Emily? Who would be interested in harming us?" I asked, trying to process the information. "I don't know, but we need to find out who is behind this before it's too late," she replied. At that moment, I realized that we needed to act quickly and strategically. I gathered the team in the conference room and explained the situation. "Guys, we are facing sabotage. Someone inside is trying to destroy our work. We need to find out who is responsible and make sure our project is completed successfully." "But how are we going to do this, Jackson?" "We don't have much time," asked Marcos, one of the most talented software engineers on the team. let's review all activity carried out in the last 24 hours. We need a list of everyone who had access to the system during that period, I suggested. I can handle that, said Larissa, our information security specialist. I will review the access logs and try to identify any suspicious activity. While Larissa worked on analyzing the logs, the rest of the team dedicated themselves to restoring the corrupted files. Emily and I split up to talk to the team members, looking for any information that could help us identify the saboteur. In the middle of one of these conversations, I met Joao, a financial analyst who has always been very reserved. John, have you noticed anything strange lately? Anything that might help us understand what's going on? He hesitated for a moment before responding. I saw someone come out of the server room late at night. I couldn't see their face, but it was someone from our team. Thanks, John. That helps a lot, I replied, trying to encourage him to share more information in the future. Hours later, Larissa returned with a serious expression. I found something. There are system access records made using the credentials of one of our colleagues who is on medical leave. Someone is using his credentials to sabotage our project. That means the saboteur is among us, Emily said, with a deep tone of voice. We decided to keep this discovery private while we investigated further. I knew that confronting the saboteur directly could be risky, so we devised a plan to catch the person in the act. We installed an additional monitoring system and left false clues that we were about to do a major system upgrade, hoping the saboteur would take the bait. That night, we all stayed at the company, waiting for the saboteur to move. It was a long wait, but finally, at around 2 a.m., we saw someone approach the server room. It was Pedro, a colleague who had always been very competitive and had recently been passed over for a promotion. Pedro, what are you doing here? I asked, as Emily and Larissa appeared behind me. He looked at us, surprised and apprehensive. I was just. We know you are sabotaging our project. Why? I asked. I needed to make sure the project failed so I could present my own idea to the board. It was my only chance to be recognized, he confessed, visibly dejected. You put all of our work at risk, Pedro. That's unacceptable, Emily said firmly. With the help of company security, Pedro was taken out of the building and a formal investigation was launched. The team, although tired, felt a collective relief. We were more united than ever and determined to complete the project. Over the next few weeks, we worked tirelessly to finalize the sustainable technology. With Pedro out of the way, progress was quick and efficient. On the day of the final presentation, the project was a resounding success, proving that we were right to believe in our potential. The journey was arduous, but the team's unity and determination overcame all adversity. I knew we had done something extraordinary, not just for the project itself, but for the transformation we caused in the company's culture. We were ready for any challenge that came our way. Using intelligence and teamwork, Jackson and his team managed to unmask the saboteur, who is a longtime rival of Mr. Thompson. With the crisis resolved, they successfully complete the project, transforming the industry and ensuring the company's survival. The project is released to great acclaim, and Jackson finally proves himself to everyone. When we finally uncovered the mystery behind the sabotages, the tension in the boardroom was palpable. I was determined to find out who was trying to destroy our project, and with the help of Emily and the rest of the team, we were able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Are you sure it's him? Emily asked, looking at me with her eyes full of concern and determination. Absolutely, I replied. The evidence is irrefutable. All the data points to him. We gathered everyone in the conference room, including Mr. Thompson. The atmosphere was charged with expectation. I took a deep breath and started to speak. We found out who is sabotaging our project, I announced. It's Mr. Collins, Mr. Thompson's longtime rival. The silence that followed was crushing. Mr. Thompson looked surprised, but there was a gleam of understanding in his eyes. Collins, on the other hand, tried to defend himself. This is nonsense. You have no proof. Collins exclaimed, but his voice betrayed a slight tremor that gave him away. Yes, we do, I replied firmly. Evidence from emails, logs of unauthorized access, and testimonies from team members. It all points to you. Mr. Thompson, who until then had been silent, finally spoke out. Collins, you have always been a thorn in my side. But sabotaging such a crucial project for the company is unacceptable. I consider you officially fired. With Collins' departure, the atmosphere at the company changed drastically. Without the shadow of sabotage, we were finally able to focus on what really mattered, finishing the project. We worked tirelessly, day and night, with renewed determination. Each team member did their best, and the synergy between us was palpable. We're almost there, Emily said, looking at the computer screen that displayed the latest details of our sustainable technology project. We just need to adjust a few parameters and we'll be all set. I've never been so sure we'll make it, I replied, feeling a surge of pride and satisfaction. We are going to transform this industry and save the company. And so it was. With our dedication and teamwork, we were able to complete the project ahead of schedule. The presentation of the project was an absolute success, receiving acclaim not only within the company, but also from the public and specialized media. The sustainable technology we developed promised to revolutionize the market and guarantee a greener and more sustainable future. On the day of the official launch, the company organized a big event. We were all there, anxious and excited. When we took the stage to present our work, the feeling of accomplishment was indescribable. This project would not have been possible without each and every one of you, I began, addressing my team. Together, we prove that collaboration, respect and inclusion are the key to success. Applause echoed through the room, and I felt a wave of emotion wash over me. Finally, I had proven myself. And not only that, our team had shown that, even in the face of adversity and prejudice, it was possible to overcome any challenge. After the event, Mr. Thompson called me in for a private conversation. Jackson, you did an exceptional job. I was wrong about you and I want to recognize your value. Thank you for not giving up and for showing what it means to be a true leader. Those words meant a lot to me. It was a belated but sincere recognition. And I knew that from that moment on, the company culture was destined to change. Emily and I received promotions, and together, we continue to work to make the company a more fair and inclusive place. I looked around, at my team, at Emily, and at everyone who supported us. I knew that this was just the first of many achievements. And most of all, I knew we had made a difference. When the board of directors met that morning, I was aware that something big was about to happen. Our team had just unmasked the saboteur and successfully completed the sustainable technology project, ensuring the company's survival. Euphoria was still in the air, but there was an underlying feeling that the storm had not yet passed. Emily and I looked at each other, aware that a new chapter was about to be written in our company's history. Mr. Thompson entered the meeting room with his usual confident stance, but I noticed a slight hesitation in his movements. The chairman of the board, Mr. Wallace, began the meeting on a serious note. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to discuss an issue of utmost importance. We were recently informed about the hidden financial crisis and sabotage our company has faced. I felt a chill run down my spine. We knew the saboteur had been unmasked, but the part about the financial crisis was still uncharted territory for many of us. Mr. Wallace continued, after a detailed investigation, we discovered that Mr. Thompson was aware of these issues from the beginning, but attempted to cover it up to protect his position. The room erupted in murmurs and looks of shock. Mr. Thompson stood up quickly, trying to defend himself. This is absurd. I was just trying to protect the company. Mr. Wallace interrupted firmly. Protect the company or protect yourself, Mr. Thompson. The evidence speaks for itself. Your decision not to act put us all at risk. As accusations and defenses were exchanged, I looked at Emily, who gave me a slight nod, encouraging me to speak. I stood up slowly and said, I believe everyone here deserves to know the truth. Our team worked tirelessly to save the company, and it was through working together and being transparent that we were able to overcome these challenges. But we cannot thrive in an environment where dishonesty predominates. Mr. Thompson gave me a dismissive look, but I stood my ground. Mr. Wallace then turned to the council. Ladies and gentlemen, as chairman of the board, I recommend the dismissal of Mr. Thompson and the promotion of Jackson to the leadership role he has demonstrated he deserves. The council voted quickly, and the decision was unanimous. Mr. Thompson, now pale and defeated, left the room without saying a word. As he passed me, he murmured, "You're going to regret this, Jackson." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the responsibility I had just assumed. Mr. Wallace came over and shook my hand. "Congratulations, Jackson. You've proven yourself in a way few can." I looked at Emily, who was smiling proudly. "And Emily," continued Mr. Wallace, "you will also be recognized for your courage and dedication. As of today, you are the new head of your division." She winked at me, and I knew this was just the first of many victories we would share. When the meeting ended, our team gathered outside the room. There were smiles, hugs, and a feeling of renewal in the air. "We did it, Jackson," Emily said, her voice full of emotion. "But this is just the beginning. We still have a lot of work to do to transform the culture of this company." I nodded, feeling a new determination grow within me. "I know, Emily. And with this incredible team by our side, I know we can do it." As the company underwent a significant transformation, fostering a more inclusive and respectful environment, I felt grateful for every challenge we faced. They shaped us, strengthened us, and prepared us for the future. And most of all, I knew that no matter the adversity, we would always be able to overcome any obstacle together. Jackson and Emily's journey was just beginning, and the future looked brighter than ever.